Hey, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 1st, and welcome to Walking with God. I'm your host, Kyle Walker, here on WYTV7, coming out of Kansas City. I see some people are checking in, getting online, so I know that we're good to go. Welcome, everyone. Glad that you're here. Can you believe that it's May already? I cannot. I cannot believe that we're already in May. That just seems like crazy talk to me. But here we are. So we are winding down here on season 1 of 2018, really. As I've told you a few times now, we're going to be taking that break here at the end of May from Memorial Day all the way out to Labor Day. So our days together are numbered. I think we have 4 more episodes, including tonight. So hopefully we can end on a good note. I want to, as always, thank our good buddy Joe for coming in last week. I really enjoyed our show last week. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it's always out on the Facebook page the moment we're done recording it. Or doing it live, really. So you can always catch those episodes and backtrack as much as you need to. It was a good episode, a lot of good information brought by Joe, thankfully. And yeah, definitely check that out. Well worth your time. I think we went about 45 minutes last week. And it was definitely worth every minute of it. So tonight we are going to do our third and final, at least final for right now, episode on post-divorce dating. We started this a couple weeks back and then continued with Joe last week, and now we're going to wrap it up tonight because we've got some other things that we're going to take care of before we get to Memorial Day and before we get to the end of our first season. One of the things that we love to have on this show is Joe. He is our most regular guest, and as special as Joe is, I do want to let you know that next week we will be having another guest, and it is not Joe. We're going to have somebody new here in the man cave, as it's called, on Walking with God. His name is Greg Sanders, and he is a dear, dear friend of mine. And he is going to come in and talk to us about a ministry that he has started called Greater Than Life Ministries. And so you don't want to miss talking to him. Just real quick background, Greg and I went to MNU together. We got our bachelor's degree together. We were in class every Tuesday night together for a year. So, he grew tired of me. We've now had a few years away. He's ready to talk to me again. And so he's going to be on the show next week, and you don't want to miss Greg. Greg is so much fun to talk to, and I really can't wait to hear everything he's going to tell us about the launch of his ministry and just where God has taken Greg in his walk, because the guy that I knew back when we were in class and the things he's doing now, I would never have seen this coming in a million years. So that is next week. We will have Greg Sanders on here, and we'll give you all the Facebook information. You'll see little Facebook posts about the show, and so I hope you'll come back and listen to what Greg has to tell us. And so now let's go ahead and just jump right back into where we've left off here over the last few weeks. That is our post-divorce dating. Tonight, I really, I kind of threw some questions out for people to answer, and answer they did in abundance. So this is kind of a listener feedback program, just from all the feedback I've gotten on these various subjects that I've thrown out there. Our first show was all about how we meet people post-divorce, and I will admit that I got myself in a little bit of hot water with that first post-divorce episode, basically because of how, I guess, bitter and jaded I came off in that show. And I'm sorry it appeared that way, but on the flip side of that, that's kind of how it is in this post-divorce life. And a lot of the comments from the conversations I've had with people, it really points to that. Because with every failed situation, we're just going to call them situations, whether that be a person that you're talking to or someone you're just getting to know, for every failed situation you have, you grow a little more callous and a little colder and a little more bitter. And as experience upon experience upon experience builds up, you do start to become very cynical. And I've told you guys I've been doing this for 8 years now. I have become very cynical when it comes to this world of post-divorce adult dating. So while I'm sorry it came off that way, because I always try and keep this show at least a little lighthearted and a little uplifting, there's also a lot of truth behind that, and there's also a lot of reasons why it came across the way that it did. So if it appears again that way tonight, I will apologize in advance. I will do my best to put a happy face on, but that's one of the points we're trying to get across here is just the ridiculousness of this world. And like I said on that first show, the things that we do to each other. And really, if there is anything I can get across over this little series that we're doing, and we'll have to come back to this series at some point in time. I am barely touching the tip of the iceberg here. But as we continue on, the things that we're doing to each other and the way that we go about this world that we're in, I mean, they borderline on the cruel at times. And so if we can maybe take a little, I don't know, just take a few little lessons or a few little notes. If you hear something that we talk about and you can kind of put your finger on it and say, oh, I've done that, I shouldn't do that, then hey, this is already mildly a success. So that's we'll talk about this stuff. I don't mean to sound bitter and jaded, but if you can find something to take out of it as maybe something you need to stop doing as a post-divorce person yourself, well, then already this has made a great difference for you and for whoever you're talking to or whoever the next person you interact with is, because you'll have learned, oh, I shouldn't do that. And I'm not saying you're going to learn from me. You're going to learn from the experiences of others, because that's kind of what we do on the show. We learn from the experiences of others. I don't know anything. So anyway, that was that was my little caveat for the 2 weeks ago. Because again, keep in mind, I never planned this. Like, I never planned on May 1st, 2018 to be sitting here talking to y'all. Way back when I was trying to plan my life out, I had planned on this night to be sitting at home with my family. So, again, the experiences we go through that kind of make us a little jaded and a little bitter, that's where we're coming from here. So this week we're going to tackle three big three big topics. That's what happens when I get ahead of myself. So two of the topics were kind of requested, and then there's one that I just kind of threw out there. And so the first one is the issue of social media in a post-divorce relationship. Okay, we cannot sit here as you watch me on Facebook Live and pretend that social media is not just this gigantic juggernaut in all of our lives. It is. And if we're sitting here saying it's not, then we're lying to ourselves and others. Social media is king right now. All right, this show revolves around social media. Like, without it, I would have nothing. No one would be listening to me. And so social media, we know, is king. And when it comes to the relationship world, it is just as important as using Facebook Live for the show, as creating an event to update all your friends, as posting a picture of what you ate for dinner. It's all important in the way that we interact with each other. Because if it's not a social media interaction, what are we doing? I mean, I don't even know how people communicate anymore, it seems. I guess I could call someone, I could use my phone, but then it's just one at a time. With social media, I can update everybody, all at one time. It's made all of our lives easier, but that also moves over to the relationship world. And so really the question I asked was, how big is social media in the realm of relationships? And of course the answers ranged all over the spectrum, but I copied them down here. So let's go through what some of them say, and I won't divulge names, but these are all from listeners who have responded. First one, very simple. As an adult, not important at all. Okay. So there we go. Another person just said, again, we're all speaking in the realm of relationships. They said to just keep it off Facebook. Keep it off Facebook completely. Okay. Another one said, that way, after responding to the keep it off Facebook, that way it is in private and between the couple. Engagements and weddings are a great way to announce information. So I guess in the realm of a relationship, you keep it off the Facebook. Now, if you're actually going to get engaged or get married, then blow it up, tell everybody. Okay. And then a person put this, and I did not research to back up the numbers, but I found this to be a very interesting statement. He says, I hear social media is to blame for a lot of stuff. A friend of mine says he does not have Facebook because MySpace, if you remember MySpace from a long time ago, caused his first divorce. And that was interesting. Sorry, I thought there was a number in there. That comes a little later. Here it is. A person said, I heard a stat several years ago that said something like 70% of divorce paperwork mentions Facebook in it. Now, if that number is true, if 70% of divorce paperwork lists something about Facebook, and I'll be honest, mine could have. I left it out, but it was absolutely an issue. Social media, Facebook included. If it really is 70% where social media is involved in that, that number is absolutely staggering. I find that to be just shocking that 70% could have something to do with social media. Another person has said, in my experience, if it is so important to one of the parties or both, then maybe it's not going to work out. My loyalty to my partner or fiance has zero relevance to the posting of my Facebook status. I proudly have claimed to be in a relationship, however. So while he's saying it's not important to him, he still has gone through the step of identifying it in the realm of social media. And that's something we're going to come back to here in a moment. Another one, let's see, I don't post mine publicly because I figure it is on a need-to-know basis, though I did change it behind the scenes because the ad mix in my feed was annoying. Well, yeah, if you know how Facebook is with the ads. If it thinks you're single, it's going to try and give you all the dating sites. So it might be worth it to you to change your Facebook status just to avoid the commercials. Let's see. It was a mix of ads for reconciliation therapy, individual therapy, because Facebook has diagnosed me as depressed, and then the singles ads. Now I get ads for support groups, being single and fabulous again. Their ad algorithms make me chuckle. Okay, so a little different direction there. Another person, I am proud of my relationship and who I'm with, so I make it official and post things about our life together. That's what Facebook was about, sharing your life with your family and friends. And then another one, let's see here. Oh, a person said, okay, if you both agree to put it on social media, okay. But if it's one-sided, no. And that's where I really want to focus. So I even responded to this person. I said, okay, I'm glad you said that. If anyone else sees this, please chime in. Okay, what do you think if you are the one, if you're the one who's for it, but your partner is against it? Are you just cool with that? Does it make you wonder? You know, why do you have why do you have to be someone's, as I put it, their little social media dirty secret? And I'd love to know the opinions of when the social media decision is 50-50, because I think that's kind of a big deal personally. And so people responded to that. And I'm sorry, I know I'm just kind of reading from the page here. And let's see. If it's not mutual, it makes me wonder. Or be like, what are you trying to hide? If it's something that is simple to one person wanting to make your relationship public to family and friends, and one is hardcore not for it, that would be a clue something is off. But that's me. Okay. Let's see. If both people don't have Facebook, then clearly it's not important. Okay. So we're just gonna. Yeah. There's a few more here, and I'm looking here. But really, okay. So that kind of got to the heart of what I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to read absolutely everything. So what do you guys think when you want to, let's say you're the person who wants to make it Facebook official. Facebook official. That's actually a term that you'll see in social media. And your partner is hardcore against it, doesn't want to do it. Does that in some way, shape, or form kind of make you a little suspicious? I'll be totally honest. It does me. The last long-term relationship that I was in, I was all for being Facebook official, but the person I was with, she was not. Hardcore against it. And of course that makes you wonder. And it's not, are you really up to anything, you know, on the back end of that? Which the answer oftentimes is yes, but not always. I'll give some people benefit of the doubt there. But really it was really to kind of keep our relationship in the shadows and in the private so that they could still garner the attention. Whether they acted on it or not, it was the attention that they wanted to keep flowing to them. And that's really how we've gotten with so many things in life. The attention, the instant gratification, just that constant need to be pursued, or to look like, or to feel like you're wanted or interesting, or whatever the case is going to be. And we've talked about this on the previous episodes, and we even talked about it last week with Joe. The attention and just all the focus that we put on people and all the flattery that we throw their way. If somebody updates their Facebook status and says, for example, I am in a relationship with Kyle Walker. We're in a relationship. Well, if there's any justice in the world, then all the pursuit of that woman would stop. I know that's not how it always works. Clearly it's not. But in the perfect world, it would stop. People say, oh, she is in a relationship, therefore I will not be pursuing her. I will not continue with the constant flattery. I will not continue with the instant messaging, and I will not continue after this person. In an ideal world, that's how this is supposed to work. So in my opinion, and again, on this show, all I can give you is my opinion. When one person is for it and one's against it, you have to wonder. Now, are they up to something terrible? Yes, no, maybe so. Who knows? But it could just be they want the constant attention, or they don't trust the relationship enough to seal the deal with the other people who might be in some sort of pursuit of them. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Because we've gotten to this point, and again, we talked about the dating apps, but it's the same thing. People who are getting into long-term committed relationships are not just instantly shutting down the dating apps. They're still going to it daily. Now, is it to find someone to have an affair with? Maybe not. Is it that need? Is it that need for the instant gratification, for the, somebody swiped right on me, somebody thinks I'm cute, somebody finds me attractive, somebody wants to continue to talk to me, so I'm just going to keep on swiping, even though I've got my partner, I've got my girlfriend, I've got my boyfriend, I've got my whatever your case is. We're still swiping most of the time because we just want someone else to think that we're attractive. Or we don't want to shut the door on possibilities. Because again, we've gotten into the grass is always greener on the other side. The grass is only greener on the other side because there's more fertilizer on the lawn. There is more bull dinky making it greener to your eyes. All right, water your own lawn and you're going to be fine. But I think that's one of the reasons why we continue on, and why not all, but some will not go Facebook official, because they don't want to close doors behind them. And if you're not closing the door behind you, you have already set your relationship up for massive failure. Massive. No way it's going to succeed. So that's my humble opinion on that particular subject. So that was, again, there were a lot more comments, and for everyone who commented, thank you so much. I can't read them all. I know you guys can see me, but it is so dark in here I can't hardly see my notes. But if you were watching last week when Joe was on, he made a request. He wanted me to talk about kids. Kids in the realm of the post-divorce dating. When do you introduce them to who you're with? How do you do that? And really, very, very difficult question to answer. So I actually went out and I did a little research. Not much, a little. And I found the 5 rules for introducing your new partner to your children. Okay, and this comes from divorce.com, which is, divorce.org, which has a lot of different psychiatrists and psychologists and medical professionals and behavioral therapists who all contribute to this site. And I did not catch the name of the person who wrote this, but these are allegedly, according to all of them, the 5 rules for introducing your new partner to your children. And of course I'm talking, so I get the hiccups. Because why not? It's live Facebook. I should totally get the hiccups right now. All right, number 1, it says, timing is essential to healthy family adjustment after divorce. Children need time to adjust to their parents' split, and it can take a year or 2 for them to get over anger, sadness, and other emotions. If you introduce your children to someone who you are dating casually, this may complicate their adjustment to your divorce. So I absolutely agree with this. I think, and I agree, this is the number 1 thing. Timing. Timing is hugely important when introducing your kids to the new person. And of course, the age of your kids is going to have to be taken into account so much. If they're a rebellious teen who is already just furious about your divorce, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit on introducing them to the new boyfriend, new girlfriend. And let's be real honest here. If you guys have been dating for 2 weeks and you're all of a sudden just madly in love, I would still hold on. I would take your sweet time with that, because I can't tell you how many 2-week relationships I've seen where the kids get involved, they're done in 3 weeks. We've all seen that. So I would be very cautious on who you introduce your kids to. By way of like dating, relationships, daddy is with this person, I have done it twice in 8 years. I've been told I've taken too long. I will admit that has been said to me. But I've done it twice. Because even though when I got divorced, my oldest daughter was 3 and my youngest was only 8 months, I still feel, and overwhelming amount of guilt of what has happened to my daughter's lives because of my divorce. Because of the morning that I had to say goodbye to them from my house because it was the day I was moving out and I was an absolute wreck and a disaster, I still to this day feel nothing but guilt for what I've done to the kids. And again, it wasn't even my idea. I certainly didn't want to go anywhere. That was ending the marriage, not my call. And I still feel bad about it. I feel terrible about what's done to them, so I don't want to introduce somebody new into their lives only to have that slip away. Now, of course, the 2 times I've done it, as you can see, because I'm still sitting here, it did not work out. One person was in their lives for about 2 years-ish, and one for 4. And again, all this was a while ago, but even still, they were young. They didn't process all of this. I still felt bad. So what I would really say about the timing is you have to make sure the timing is right for your kids, not for you. Because we as the post-divorce single adults will rush things. Oh my goodness, we rush things. We meet someone and we're already thinking about wedding dresses. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, I'll look great in my wedding dress, don't get me wrong, but you know you've been thinking about it too and you just met the person. So timing is huge. I agree with this 100%. Let's move on to number 2. Keep in mind that your kids may view your new love as a rival. Okay, just because you are smitten with your partner, yeah, they said smitten, I like that, it doesn't mean that your kids will share your positive feelings. That's true. Absolutely true. My kids were young enough when they met their now stepfather. I don't think they saw he and I as rivals. Now, as they've gotten older, they have put that upon us. Okay, I know that my ex-wife, their mother, is not fostering that. I know that I'm not fostering it, but preteen girls, they like to find the drama, and so they've actually kind of tried to put a little rivalry on our situation. It hasn't worked, but they're trying, and so that's something you definitely need to be aware of. While you may not be causing drama or introducing it into their lives, they might try and force some upon you. Number 3, consider your children's needs for security and reassurance. Introducing your new love to your kids too soon can increase stress in the house and take energy away from your kids' ability to grieve the loss of their intact family. Be sure to give your kids lots of reassurance that you have plenty of love to go around. Okay, so speaking on this, and you know what, if my ex-wife ever watches the show, this is where I'm going to get in trouble. But I've absolutely mentioned this to her before, and I know I've said it to other people. My biggest fear, and why I think my daughters rebel against her, and why they do not care for their stepfather at this point. He had my youngest for a while, but even she has turned on him right now. He, in my opinion, takes too much of mom's love. Okay? I don't envy my ex-wife's position, and I've told her this to her face. This is not something that I have not said to her. There is too much going on for her to spread around. She has to keep her husband happy. She has to keep his son happy. And then she has 2 daughters. She has family. And then she also has to deal with her crazy ex-husband. Okay? I don't envy that position because I know what I am. But I've told her, the girls rebel. My daughters rebel because the love is not spread evenly around. Again, I'll get in trouble for this, but it's what I believe. I won't even say it's true. It's what I believe. But they mortgaged their marriage. It has to succeed. They mortgaged everything on it. Okay, if this fails, then all the people can turn around, look at them, and say, "Well, it's because you did it this way, or because you didn't do it right, or because we could go down that road." And I'm not going to. But they could point fingers and say, well, here's why it failed. It failed because maybe it was wrong in the first place. I'll take it that far. So she has to keep him happy. And she has to keep his son happy. And that has to be her focus. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that's what it appears to me from the outside looking in. And her daughters, at times, because they've told me this, feel that they don't get enough of mom's love. And I've told her that. So I'm prefacing this a lot, so you guys don't just think I'm sitting here X-bashing, because I told you in my very first episode that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to X-bash. I've told her this. So that you got to consider your children's need and security, and that's still one of the biggest fears that I have for my daughter's relationship with their mother, is that mom's love is getting spread too thin, and not enough is going to her daughters, not as much as maybe they want or need. So there we go. We're gonna leave it there. I'm moving on. Ask yourself, is my love interest a good fit for my family? After all, you might have great chemistry with someone, but they might not be suited to become part of your family. You know what? Actually, somebody just this week talked to me about that and asked me my opinion, because her parental style and her, I think he's still boyfriend, not fiance or husband, her boyfriend, their parenting styles are too dissimilar. They're too different. And so she has kind of asked me my opinion. Now, what I told her was, or what I stated was, have you addressed this? Have you talked to him? Have you tried to come to reasonable understandings, compromises? Because everything begins with communication, y'all. Everything. All right? If you're not communicating with the person you're with, then you're doomed to fail. So if a person's a good fit, if their parenting style is a good fit, yes, no, maybe so, again, but that has to be discussed. And I think more often than not, compromises and agreements can be made. You don't have to just, hit the self-destruct. I think that most adults are going to be reasonable. Yeah, our styles might be different, but we can figure out a way to make this work as it pertains to each individual child. So, my opinion on that. Okay, last one. Invite your children's feedback for ideas about how and when they meet your new partner for the first time. I'm going to throw in this caveat. I think if you have older kids, this is what you want to do. If you have maybe below double-digit kids, I don't think this is going to work, my opinion. But here's what they say. If you've been dating someone for a while and feel relatively confident that you are heading towards commitment, talk to your children and explain that you are dating someone who you care about, that you'd like to introduce to them. Ask them if they have any questions. Keep the first meeting short and low-key. Going to a restaurant or neutral spot for the first meeting is best. Ask your kids where they'd like to go, and don't invite your partner's children to join you on the first few visits. That's interesting. Okay. So you can do with that what you will. But you know what? I think back to our silly first date rules. And what's one of the silly first date rules? No more than 2 hours. That no first date is supposed to last more than 2 hours. If it does, you're just doomed to fail, according to a lot of different people who talk about it. So when someone's meeting your kids for the first time, maybe you kind of think of it as your first date. You guys don't want to talk about politics or religion or sex or whatever the case might be. Keep it under 2 hours. And I don't know. Nah, he can still pick up the bill. It's your kids. But whatever your case might be. So those were the rules that they came up with. And I can't believe it's already 8:29. Apparently I've rambled on way too much tonight. So that really is going to wrap up our show. I had a whole complete third category. And really what I did was I polled everyone on what they thought the absolute worst part of post-divorce adult dating was. And let me tell you, I think we had either 125 to 150 responses on that today. It was huge. It blew up. A lot of it was actually quite hysterical. But there was a lot of interesting feedback on just what they think the worst part is. And let me tell you, I'll sum it up real quick. Of course, it is the games that we play, which we've talked about before. It is the lack of faith. It is the lack of trust. It is the lack of commitment. Everything we've talked about is what people really expanded on today. Just that this is such a difficult world to live in, and we do each other so dirty in this world. And I've told you before, I think technology is the absolute worst thing to ever happen to relationships, ever. Like, ever. Let me reiterate, ever. So that is another aspect of this. And again, like we talked about in this show even, just you might get in a relationship with someone, but on the backside, you're still doing things that you shouldn't. You're still trying to live that single life while in a relationship with someone else. If you get in a relationship, if you guys have the DTR, as it's called, the define the relationship talk, get off the apps, get off the websites, quit acting a fool. Focus yourself up on who you're with and see if things don't just turn out best for both of you. So as we wrap up our first 3-week segment on this whole world of post-divorce dating, that's what I want you to take away. If you're in a relationship, act like it. Stop acting like you're still single, because you're not. And if you want to still be single, great. You do that. You tell the person you're with, and you let them go be their single selves while you be your single self. If you're in a relationship, act like it. There we go. Let's take it out in prayer. I'm ending on that note. It doesn't get any better than that. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for tonight. It's always my pleasure to do a show like this, and I'm sorry we didn't work in the scripture this evening, but we still had some good talks, and hopefully people can take away a few of the comments from tonight, apply it to their own lives, and then move forward from there. So, Lord, keep everyone safe. Bring them back next week so they can listen to Greg, who I swear you and Greg play golf on the weekends, and I can't wait for everyone to meet him. So keep everyone safe. Bring us all back. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, everyone. Have yourselves a great week. I will see you next week. We will have Greg here in studio. I'm super excited. You guys are going to love him because he's got more personality than this room can even handle. I'm just going to sit back and listen to him, and you're going to see me laughing because he's awesome. So have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, and I will see you in 7 days. Good night.